Blessings, BookTube. Okay, let's solve the mystery of Mo Yan's The Republic of Wine. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. We are absolutely talking about the end of this book. If you don't want to know how it ends, bye-bye. Okay, so when I taught at a university in China, one of the universities I taught at in China, Suzhou University, I got given composition classes. In fact, I had 3 sections of composition classes, and I had 80 to 100 students per section. So you can imagine when you teach composition, you need to read a certain amount of their writing. And if I assigned 1 page of writing to my students, I had about a little less than 300 pages to read and correct. I quickly learned to give the students as outrageous and creative prompts as I could possibly think of in order to avoid groupthink. Now, this was the days before everyone was having AI write their papers for them. Now, I guess there's probably more original papers now than AI. This was before every kid was copy and pasting the compositions. They would legitimately write their own essays without a shadow of a doubt. Nonetheless, if you gave them an uninteresting prompt, you would be reading, I don't know, out of the 300, 220 or so of the essays would read, not word for word, but very similar. Just due to, some more homogenous thinking, at least on the part of my students then. I won't generalize beyond that. But what I can say is occasionally I had to give the prompts from the state exams that they were preparing. And so one I remember was about public banquets. And so I gave it to them, and sure enough, every single essay was very, very, very similar. And they all concluded the same things. Bureaucrats, officials would continue to overorder at public banquets in order to impress people, and they would leave a large amount of that food uneaten at the table. It is a waste, a public waste, and the Chinese are quite serious about that. They have a very famous poem about every grain of rice is a drop of farmer's sweat. But when it comes to banquets, there's just no question, nobody's taking home a doggy bag. I remember that being mentioned as well. So basically, I've been to these banquets, and indeed, they fill the table, with cold dishes, hot dishes, sweet dishes, salty dishes. You have to balance all of these different things. And sometimes the more elaborate dishes will come out later because, they're probably more time, they take more time to prepare. So you might get this amazing fish, come out towards the end of the banquet, and it'll be barely touched, because everybody's already quite full by that time, and that fish might cost, $100 to order or something. So it's a significant public expense of money as well in this waste. Nonetheless, all of my students expected it to continue. Now, let's take the case of our Dang, our investigator, who was sent to investigate in a made-up province the cannibalism accusations against the public officials there, specifically the eating of babies. And as you recall, of course, Deng is eventually served a baby. Now, I'm trying to remember who sent Deng and what his authority was, because I remember he had to hitch a ride with a trucker, lady trucker that he got all gooey about. So why wasn't he given proper? Why didn't he arrive in pomp and circumstance like a proper official? But anyway, he didn't. But nonetheless, he's met by the officials, and they take him straight to a banquet and get him super drunk. This is also quite common. When you drink in these banquets, it can be a lot of toasts. So you have to keep up with the toasts, and if you don't have and it's interesting, right? Because you almost have to do. You almost have to do a certain amount of drinking to kind of do business in in China, maybe Japan, other Asian countries as well. But there's at least I had a Chinese friend who was allergic to alcohol, and I'm led to believe there's a certain number of Asian people who don't tolerate alcohol at all. So I wonder how they do business. Might be a limitation, but anyway, this still exists, and as a foreigner, you could sometimes sidestep it or get out of it. But as a Chinese person, I don't know how you really would. I definitely can tell you that when I was in the Republic of Georgia and tried to get out of drinking, there just wasn't any way you could claim your liver was dead. It didn't matter. So I know that there are cases when you can be forced to drink. Now, I didn't experience that as much in Asia, but as I did in the Caucasus. But anyway, our investigator doesn't need much prodding. He's there for it, and he gets very drunk, and this is when he served the baby, and the interpretation I've read a bit online seems to be that when they feed him the arm, which is I think a lotus root, there seems to be this interpretation that in fact the baby is, as they claim, mock food. They do have this. They have a very, very you can buy it even in a can in an Asian grocery store, mock duck, which is gluten, but it's got the skin and everything. I mean, it looks like duck. There is this elaborate mock meat tradition in Chinese cooking, and there is this tradition of serving these elaborate dishes, right? So it's possible, I suppose, and you're supposed to think that he was drunk, so he's sort of unreliable. But here's why I believe they are cannibals. Who would serve a mock baby if you were being investigated, even if you didn't know what you were being investigated for? If you were not a cannibal, in other words, to head it off in the past and say, no, look, see, it's not really baby. I mean, no one else thinks of that, right? I mean, come on. And on top of that, what happens to our investigator? He ends up mysteriously dead in the latrine. So I smell a cover-up. That's my interpretation of The Republic of Wine by Mo Yan. Now, little doubt. One, I read it years and years ago, and it's quite, if you'll remember, stream of consciousness and interspersed with the whole other narrative of the short stories and letters being sent back and forth to the author, who is a character. No, not the author is a character in the book. I believe that there's probably some clue in the short stories, and I wish I had the book to hand, and I bet I could find it if I could reread the short stories. I bet you there's a clue in there that tells you the truth as well. If anyone remembers, let me know what story you think it might be in. I'm going to try to track down some free text online. Excuse me. Just a way in Persian Letters by Montesquieu, if you'll remember, along with the critique of despotism in France on the part of the naive Persian foreigners from outside, like, whoa, what's this about? Kind of honest shock. There's also the implied critique in the embedded story in the various embedded stories within Persian Letters, such as the revolt in the harem, which also is a sort of implied critique of despotism. So I bet there's a clue in the short stories, and the last sentence of the book, this long run-on crazy Joycean sentence, last 5 pages or so of the book, is which was famously cut right from the mainland edition. Apparently, Mo Yan has said that there is a key to understanding the book in that long run-on sentence, which unfortunately I cannot find online for any free way to read it. So, any of you who have that book to hand, please read that last sentence for me and confirm or deny my theory that the officials of this made up province in China, are indeed cannibals, and the cover up to cover it up, they killed the investigator. Okay, so that's The Republic Yan by Mo Yan. Mo Yan is a Chinese Nobel laureate. They're second after Gao Xingjian, who's also amazing. Read Soul Mountain for a novel for him, but he's best known for his plays. And Mo Yan also wrote a bunch of great stuff. Red Sorghum was the one that was made into a movie that was a big deal. All right, thank you. Xie xia. Bye. 再见。